The settings for leave categories can be accessed and updated by clicking on the Payroll Settings tab, which can be accessed here and also here. You can find the leave categories page under the Pay Run Settings tab here. This screen is where you can set up your leave categories, control which one of them accrue automatically, how they will behave in the pay run, and whether or not to include them in termination payouts. You can also decide which should appear in your employees' payslips. Just a few things you need to note regarding leave categories. Any changes that are made to your business's leave category settings will not be applied to existing employees. The new settings will only apply automatically to any new employees who are added to your payroll after the changes have been made. In this situation, if any existing employees are not assigned to a leave allowance template, you'll need to update their leave category settings individually via their employee file leave allowances page. You can change employee leave settings in bulk by using a leave allowance template. If you choose to use a leave allowance template, all you need to do is click Save in the relevant template, and it will automatically update any employee that is linked to that template. Now let's take a look at the leave categories. There are a number of default leave categories set up when you first create a business. These are listed below. We have annual leave, company sick leave, statutory adoption leave, statutory maternity leave, statutory parental bereavement leave, statutory paternity leave, and statutory sick leave. You'll see that the settings for these categories have already been set up in the system here. You can have as many leave categories as you'd like. To add another leave category, simply click on the Add button at the top right of the screen here. You'll then need to fill in the following details. The name. This is a required field. The external ID. This is only required if you're using an external system to capture leave requests or timesheet entries, hence the need to map the code used from both systems. Please note, if an external ID is used that has been used before, you won't be able to save it if the unique external ID setting is switched on. This setting is located in Payroll Settings, Advanced Settings page. The leave category type. This is a drop-down box where you can add if the leave category is going to be part of statutory payments or a standard leave category. The employee leave balance. Here you can select whether the employee's leave balance for this category will be tracked or not tracked. For some types of leave that aren't accrued in the usual way, for example, leave without pay, it might not make sense for an employee to have a balance. In these cases, you should set this value to not tracked. This tells the system it doesn't need to keep track of how much of this type of leave an employee is entitled to. The next options are tick boxes. You can choose whether or not you want the leave to automatically accrue. Select this option if the leave is to accrue automatically. You'll then be required to choose whether the leave will accrue on an ongoing basis or based on a defined leave year. The leave year can be set as the employee's start date or another specific date. You can set this date on the employee's leave allowance page. You have the option here to exclude from termination payout. You would select this option if you do not want any of the unused leave balances for this leave category to automatically be paid out upon termination. Apply negative balances on termination. You will only be given this option if you do not tick the Exclude from Pay Run box. You should select this option if you would like the earnings associated with the employee's negative leave balances deducted in their termination payment. Hide accruals from payslips. Select this option if you do not wish to allow employees to see the amount of leave accrued for this leave category within a pay run on their payslips. Hide balances from payslips and an employee portal. You can select this option if you do not wish to allow employees to see the balance of this leave category on their payslips or in their employee portal. And the last one here, hide leave category name from employee view. You would select this option if you do not want to have the leave category name displayed in the calendar that is viewed on the employee's portal. All that will be displayed is the employee name and the period of leave taken. This setting works in conjunction with the settings employees can view approved leave from the employee portal settings screen. The next section is standard allowance. Here you can enter the number of hours per pay run or choose from one of the following options: standard weeks per year, standard days per year, hours per hour worked, or hours per pay run. Please be aware, if you select hours per hour worked, it should not be used with the Accrues in Advanced setting. You can also click on the calculator icon to assist with calculating the entitlement and ensure the correct figure is being applied. Leave accrual capping. This setting allows you to select whether or not the number of hours accrued will be capped. If the accrual is to be capped, select Limited to from the drop-down list and then enter the maximum number of hours that you would like to limit it to. If we now go back to the first option here, and now choose you want the leave to accrue based on the employee's leave year, you will notice a few more options. You now have the option here to accrue in advance. Select this option if you want the employer to accrue their whole entitlement in advance. This means that the full annual entitlement will be accrued in the employee's first pay run and will be added to their leave balance. If you'd like the leave to accrue on an ongoing basis, you won't be given this option. Once again, you have the option here to limit the amount of leave accrued within a leave year up to a certain amount of hours. And the final option at the bottom here is the option to carry over any leave. Once the leave year ends and a new one begins, you have the option to carry over the entire leave balance into the new leave year, or you can decide to carry over a maximum amount of hours. If we now untick the Automatically Accrues box here, you'll notice this option now allows you to choose the unit type. You can select from weeks, days, or hours. The display is relevant for when an employee applies for leave. When a leave category is displayed in either days or weeks, the leave will then be converted into hours in the pay run, and a conversion formula will be made available to see how the conversion was calculated. The payment setup section at the bottom of the page here determines whether the employee is paid for the leave taken in the pay category that is assigned when the leave is taken. By selecting Basic, it means that when an employee does not use timesheets, the employee's leave balance will be reduced and the earnings are not impacted. However, if an employee is using timesheets to submit time worked, an earnings line will be created within the pay run and the leave balance will be reduced. To check or assign the employee's timesheet settings, go to the employee's pay run default page. Don't pay for the leave taken. When an employee does not use timesheets, an earnings line with negative hours will be added within the pay run to reduce the earnings for the employee. When an employee is using timesheets to submit all time worked, no earnings lines will be created. Report the earnings for the leave taken against another pay category. When wanting to report payments for leave taken in a separate pay category for reporting or journaling purposes, select this option. The earnings related to the leave taken will be assigned against the specified pay category instead of the employee's primary pay category. When this is selected, you'll be given the option to use the pay rate of the employee's primary pay category for transferred earnings lines. If you do not want to use the primary pay category, you can click on the drop-down box here to choose which pay category you like. Please note that by ticking this box, the system assumes you will still want the employee to be paid their usual rate of pay. The final option here is Custom. This option isn't commonly used, but it allows the user to deduct hours from arbitrary pay category and transfer them to another arbitrary pay category when the leave is taken. You can see the drop-down boxes here. You can choose from the pay categories within the system. When you're happy with your settings, you simply click Save, and that's your leave category set up. And that's it, the leave categories page. We hope you found this useful.